There we go. Now we're good. Now we're going. It's gone. It's over. Me, you, yeah. Why? I don't like it. I don't like it. Also, yeah, no, go. What are you doing? Okay. I just wanted to see what's happening because right now I think something might be broken on the stream and that you may not be making noise with your mouth. But I think it's on my side, not yours. You got to check it. Hopefully. Yeah, it would be pretty good. That. I don't know. It's not. You talk again. Second opinion. My wife. I personally love it. I think it's never going to not be funny. I am 200% into it, into the concept of my wife being funny forever. What is going on? Oh, I know. I'm Brit. TMD. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I'm really not sure why. I don't know what it's like. Yeah, actually, I probably do know what changed. Stupid restarting things. Hey, I can hear you. You sound fine to me. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. Best. I don't know. Turn on the actual audio from your thing. Hear yourself.
To see if I can hear me.
Yeah. Talk again. I think I fixed
difficulties.
it. Nope.
The podcast.
You're all fixed now. We've got it.
There is no sound.
There is sound now. Yeah, she's wrong. She's seconds behind. I'm streets ahead right now.
So both of us may be audible, is what you're saying.
No, now we're definitely both audible. Like I was audible the whole time.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. It says I am. Not muted, baby.
The only feedback I got was there is no sound.
Well,
maybe
tell
she
her
just
to
meant that, like,
tell her to keep
generally
watching.
Speaking, maybe she's having hearing issues. The sound, maybe it's philosophical. The sound is gone from
the sound.
Life.
She's got no more ability to hear. Yeah, it could be. It's not. It's stupid. It's my fault. I'm a dumb idiot.
Oh, did you figure it out, really?
Yeah, I figured it out a while ago. What are you talking about? I told you, ask her again.
Now she says, no picture, no sound.
Okay, that I don't understand because I'm watching it and there's definitely picture.
Just book club background. Yeah, what is she looking at?
I don't know, man.
I sent her the link.
I don't think you sent her the right link. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm just gonna YouTube ourselves.
You're right.
We've all taken too long here. The show is gone downhill. Yeah, you got to edit it. You got to edit ourselves. I hear me. And there it is. I can hear us. Yeah, we're talking. It's good. We're great. Thanks a lot, Candy, for throwing everything out the window.
Oh boy.
We've been now the rabbit hole and the pathing of this whole show has gone to hell. What are we gonna do? I don't know. Are we?
The beauty about the live show, though, is that people get to tune in for this, what's gonna happen. And okay, now I just got a K. just a single K.
K.
Maybe she said-
What is she spelling her name very slowly? Is it going to, if your next text from her is not an A, I'm.
I would say, but that's the brilliance of a live show is that you get these extras, whereas when I turn this into a podcast, it'll just start whenever I restart the show, because give me a sec, I'll restart the show. And they just think the whole thing was fantastic for a different reason.
And I love that, because I feel like it's lying, which I'm fine with, really.
If you're a cop, you have to tell me.
I would never ever do that to you.
Sorry, I'm actually just trying to think of things to say, so if my wife is watching, she can
My wife
opine as to the level of. Still good.
It sounds fine.
Still good.
Okay, hey, we're live and we're here for television volleyball. It's TVVB. You know, the game we play that we created, you created, and we play, and somebody wins, somebody loses. You score points, but we don't know how. None of it makes sense.
It's good. Level's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the end of that.
I confirmed this like an hour ago, people.
It sounds like what you're trying to say is welcome to Book Club for Movies in the form of television volleyball. I'm Ryan Miller.
Finally.
You're Matt Amberg.
God.
And we are making a live show here. So if you're tuning in
making a mess.
Real time, congratulations. You are the elite. If you are tuning in after the fact, that means I've turned it into a podcast, and it doesn't sound as good as the other podcasts. We're still working on that. We do it a little bit every single time. I make you sit there while I fiddle with buttons and different software for at least 15 to 20 minutes, and then it doesn't work, and then we just do what we've always done.
Yeah,
so,
and then we run late, and then Candy doesn't look, and then Candy doesn't look at the right links, and there's no sound, and she's sending you partial spellings of her name.
Yeah, that's pre-show stuff. The show hadn't begun yet, so really, if you want a taste of that, just watch the live show. Matt, we're doing television volleyball. It's a thing where we've watched a bunch of TV shows. We don't talk about them because we're Book Club for Movies. It's against the rules. But every now and then, we break the rules. We go back and forth. Say, I've been watching this. You say, you've been watching that. And by the end, we try to figure out who won. I don't remember how or who.
We never do. I don't think it's ever been consistent.
But I hope it's me.
I believe you are reigning champion. I think you won last time. Actually, I think you're like
just trying to introduce some competitiveness. I don't really care.
No, you should want to win. I want to win. Your stupid idiot shows are no match for my powerful programs.
There it is. Either way, the viewer is the real winner. So
that's right.
If you want to join in with anything we're doing, the chat's open. Come say hi and or disagree with either of us.
No, only disagree with Ryan.
Okay, thank you.
There you
go.
8th grade B team volleyball sound level's good. Thank you, Candy Miller.
Oh, an actual comment from a viewer named Candy Miller. 8th grade B team volleyball sound levels. Okay.
Yeah, right. That's baby.
I don't get her sense of humor.
I mean, you neither of you you two together make zero sense. It is, I mean, beyond me, but who am I to judge? You know?
Every time I put Hot Shots on, she disappears from existence.
Look, you know, I think
so that happens a lot.
Is it because though? Is it because she doesn't like the movie, or is it because you've seen it so many times? She's like, not this again. Because that's why Beth will not stay in the room for really any slapstick movie unless she outright chooses it. Oh yeah. No, she is Naked Gun right out. No,
it is funny because we could put the period piece on in the other room and do whatever we want then, I think.
See? And that but if you do that, by the way, well, never mind. That was going to go in a weird direction and it didn't make sense after I thought about it for 2 seconds.
Fair enough. Matt, let's begin this with something I know we're going to begin it with.
Yeah, because we said it. We don't lie. We have never lied or told told a fib.
But here's the funny thing. Because you watched the Book of Boba Fett. There's a fly in the room. I'm going to go all Walter White on it while we record this. Yeah, round of applause. Thank you. You watched the Book of Boba Fett quite a while ago. In fact, I would say almost as it came out. Were you week to week in it?
Yeah. We're okay. I remember everything.
Okay, lots of fun discussion around that, and you texted me here and there about some jaw-dropping moments. I think for a while you wanted to do an entire show on it, as sometimes we do break the rules in that way, and do a TV show for book club for movies. But it seems either I happened, which means everything I do is way out of time. Like in fact, tonight is going to be. Last time I'm pretty sure I talked about like Amazing Stories, like the first one. I always have a super old TV show that I'm into, but it seems like I can also do those to new shows where the moment is just over. So now that we're talking about it in television volleyball instead of a show of its own, is that any indication of your maybe cooling on it somewhat?
I still liked it. No, I liked it. It was fun. It was I actually really enjoy Old Man Boba Fett. Like I like this concept and huge fan of yes, Candy, you and Beth are same. It's true. Yeah,
she's still watching.
She's still watching Duck.
Let's go off camera for
just a second. See if she
stops commenting.
I really like Ming-Na. Like she's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Which is the other thing I was going to tell you. I've also now watched it. I watched the whole thing. So
I assumed so.
Okay. All right.
And I actually really liked all the little bits of political intrigue that, I mean, it wasn't a ton, but I liked what they had in there. And overall, I enjoyed the show for what it was. Yes, I agree with, I think, almost everybody. The weird biker gang does not fit well just because of the planet they're on and how clean their stuff was. Like, I get it if you're like, you go into the garage and they're working on their little bike things and they're all super clean. But like 2 seconds later, you're in dust and sand. That thing should look like garbage, you know?
Sure.
So that was, a little silly. Their whole, like, whatever. I don't know what they were supposed to be. Star Wars hipsters, Tatooine hipsters, I guess. I don't know.
Biker Club, man. Yeah, I don't think they went beyond that, and they were used to minimum effect. It even seems, because they weren't the ones that actually perpetrated the thing that he ended up killing them for.
Right.
But we're gonna spoil
everything we talk about.
Yeah, there. Sure.
Come on, don't. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was super fun. I enjoyed, I look forward to the next season. I'm curious where it goes. And I mean, I'm into it. I really liked it. Yeah. I especially, actually, I will say this before you start talking and using all of your words.
Why? Okay.
I really enjoyed all of the cultural stuff that Tamura Morrison was allowed to and able to bring. The Haka stuff and the way he fought at the beginning with the gaffy stick. Love that stuff. It was awesome. That was some of the best stuff. The whole Tusken Raider thread at the beginning was fantastic. I loved the hell out of that.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't think I find myself disagreeing with you necessarily on anything, but because we're kind of talking about it in segments, I think my greater issue comes with when, like we went through the Tusken Raider thing. Why? What does that inform? How does that come back later? I think when stuff starts to get woven together or something greater starts to come of it, I don't think it necessarily nails that.
Sure.
But the funny thing is, I'm not sure it's actually trying to either, because by the end, we straight up get like 2 or 3 Mandalorian episodes, basically.
Yeah, which was
we're following Mando,
super rad.
No Boba. Yeah, and it was cool. In fact, maybe my favorite episodes of that series, kind of unfortunately in a way, but I think that was more indicative of the fact that, this isn't necessarily trying to be any one thing. It's not even okay. I like that they called it the Book of Boba Fett,
Sure.
and I like that the Tales from Jabba's Palace stuff kind of
it felt a
was
little bit like
strong.
that. Yeah,
it did. Yeah, and it wasn't just the characters. They got the spider monks walking around. It's been a while since I read Tales from Jabba's Palace, by the way.
Yeah,
so.
it's been forever. The only story I will ever remember is the one of EV-99, the one droid that is like that tortures all the other droids in Jedi.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that might have been the one I've forgotten. Yeah,
it's the best. Great story.
I also get it confused with Tales from Mos Eisley, actually. So, to even complicate further, but I think they were aware of that, and Favreau and Filoni's name is still on this quite a bit, even though it felt very different from The Mandalorian to me. I think maybe in that sense of being a full package or whatever. But again, I think they were maybe looking for different stories, telling different stories, doing a little bit more fan service. There's a lot with Luke too. For a while, it's just in fact, inside of those Mando episodes, it's Luke and Grogu,
the Groger.
Baby Yoda. So I don't think it was trying to be anything so grand as a Boba Fett story or whatever. I think that was just part of some of the fan service and cool little snippets or vignettes. Even it's a little more vignetted maybe than I was expecting at first.
I gotta say, it kind of felt like very much more so than Mando or any of the other shows, Obi-Wan included. It felt like almost soap opera-y, but like General Hospital soap opera-y.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about the political intrigue and being okay with it, even though I think you said there wasn't that much.
There's not a ton in there, but
I feel like it was mostly that is the strange thing.
I feel like it was what set everything in motion, but it wasn't the part. Like it didn't come up all that often. There were a couple of bits in a couple of episodes where they get into it a little bit, but I mean, I also again watched this when it came out, so I could be remembering wrong.
No, well, okay. If anything, because I think there is a bunch. The driving story, it seems, is that Boba Fett has taken over Jabba's place, and is trying to consolidate, because all of gosh dang it, Tatooine, Mos Espa is. It seems divided up into different warlords, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
So Boba Fett appears to be trying to consolidate his own little slice of the pie there.
Yeah, which is what Jabba had done previously.
The thing where I take issue is that even though that's kind of the express purpose, it seems like that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
It is a little okay. A lot of this is caught up in the character of Boba Fett, and why that is problematic is because he was like a 2-second dude from one movie. How many times has Lucas said 1,000,000 times, "I just don't get why he took off." I don't get why people.
It's the coolest outfit. He had the coolest voice.
We know why, yes, but
George is an idiot.
Obviously,
I mean, he's brilliant, but he's a brilliant idiot. Ugh, Georgie.
But so part of it is he's been built up so much since in canon and non-canon alike, right?
Sure.
So whereas I've kind of thrown off canon, I really don't care anymore what's canon and what's not. Just tell me a good story.
Yeah. With Star Wars, that's all I care about.
Honestly, I think in this case, it's especially difficult because he is not the Boba Fett really that I've seen anywhere else. Like they try to have some action sequences with him, and you're right, he's using the gaffy stick, and some of it's okay.
Yeah.
But they're really few and far between, and it doesn't make up his character. It seems like more of, again, another vignette, another toss to the fans, or however that goes.
Sure.
So it was tough to wrap my head around because I wasn't really getting the Boba Fett necessarily I wanted, even though I agreed with what you said. Tamora Morrison, show me him as much as you want. Like, it was fun to see him walk from point A to point B, even if he did that a few more times than I would have liked for a story.
Yeah, you got a jetpack. I mean, come on, man. Let's lose the lore that it can only be used for like 8 seconds and then it's dead. I hate that.
Was that a thing?
I don't know. It's something like that.
I feel like that's a video game thing, if anything. Yeah, that's like Star Wars Battlefront.
I think they mention it possibly in Mandalorian, where he's like, I only have one jump with my jetpack or something, or it's limited. I don't know. It just seems stupid. Sure. I mean,
whatever.
Look, all I'm saying is you get those tiny little motorcycles, and those things have gas. You can be gassing those things, and they last for a little while. Well, they're burning. It's like a jetpack.
You just strap a motorcycle to your back, honestly.
That's at this point. Come on, Boba. Get 2 of them. Use them on your feet.
I think that was my main issue with the entire show, is that Boba, in everybody else's eyes, is this force to be reckoned with, right? Like, everybody's heard of him.
Yeah.
In fact, plenty of people say he's going soft, which I can get with that, because he is, it seems, and vocally trying to turn over a new leaf. He's trying to settle down in a Boba Fett type way. He's not getting married or anything. Even though, Ming-Na, come on.
I hope they do that, and then she kills him at the end. That's the ultimate.
So
I am the Fett now.
Those were just my 2 main complaints. Is that when he sits down to do stuff, I don't really see what everybody else is like. Oh man, you are the Boba Fett we've heard of. We just don't get to see him. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole show is. I mean, it is based off of the idea that every person in the galaxy knows who he is. Like he is a well-known. So he's got a name, so of course they'd be concerned with him. And he has shown that, I'll kill people, whatever, and I'll do it for money. Yeah, okay. But you're right in that we are definitely getting I've gotten older Boba Fett, and maybe being swallowed by the pit monster gave me something to reflect on. Turn my point of view around.
Sure. Yeah, no, I can buy that too. I guess
I hear you though. Like, again, I liked it. I thought it was a fun show. It's nothing to write home about, but I do look forward to the next season. It's fun to watch. But I don't think that's one I'll ever go back and rewatch. Whereas Mandalorian, I want to go back and rewatch. I actively want to rewatch Mandalorian. I actively am going to definitely rewatch Obi-Wan, because apparently I'm like the only person in the world that really likes it. What the deal is with that?
Oh wow, one of those again, huh? Yeah, I haven't watched that.
I guess I don't know. People are calling. I see things like it's boring, it's this or that. I got to tell you, this is the only thing I will outright state to you is that I didn't know what the show was gonna be. Like, I had no clue. It's just Obi-Wan, and we saw the one shot of him looking at Luke. It's not about Luke at all. Like, this whole series, not about Luke. What you saw in the trailer, that's how much you see of Luke so far, 4 episodes in. And we're not getting anywhere close to him. This is definitely a different story, and the casting is brilliant. I mean, the person that he plays off throughout most of the movie or show, amazing. So good.
Okay. Well,
I'm loving
sure
it.
We'll end up talking about that.
It's McDonald's, baby. I'm loving it. Can we get a sponsor, Mickey D's? Come on. I'll eat a burger on camera.
I think that would have the opposite effect.
Can we get a sponsor? I won't eat it on camera. Jonathan Blade says, deconstruct and poop on our heroes is the only mode of evolution for Star Wars heroes. Would really hurt if I was a bigger fan. Yeah, sure.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of what's saving us. I mean, to think about, like, if this were any other franchise and told the same exact story,
yeah,
I probably would have stopped watching, man.
Very
that's not saying, that's not like, oh, well, then why do you watch it at all? Star Wars newsflash, is a universe
it,
that
it transcends quite a few
done
things.
some interesting things. Whatever. We're sunk cost, at this point. So what are
Yeah,
you
no,
gonna do?
it's. I made my bed. I chose Star Wars, not Star Trek. Here's what I get. Like
I
if
chose both. It's
and
hell.
and look at you. Yeah, I every now and again catch an episode of Next Generation, and I go, I don't know why I don't watch this show. It's great, but
Oh yeah, well,
it's real fun.
you're already creating a segue. So you want me just to tell you about Discovery season 3?
Yes, I do. Tell me about it. By the way, that first one, because we both watched it and we're both that's a push. No points. Go.
Oh, is that a thing in volleyball? A push?
I don't know. It's in other things. It is
Like a thing in blackjack? Blackjack.
Push. Yeah, push. I don't play sports.
Same number. What blackjack video game when you were a kid did you play to absolute death? Because I can't remember what mine is. I think it might have been on the NES.
Mine was almost certainly on like a Mac. It was some Mac game.
Sure, Apple II.
Yeah, something like that. It would have been on a Mac. It would have been on a Mac Classic, actually.
Ooh, wow. I wish I had a Mac Classic.
Dude, it was
a Mac new.
I wanted one so badly at home, and it was just such a whole nightmare. They were so expensive, and we were poor. Not afford Mac Classics.
Speaking of nightmares, so Discovery season 3. So
hit me.
I'm on record as having said, I've talked about this before, so I won't talk about it that much. Again, I'm just talking about season 3 since I've caught up. I'm on record as having said it's the worst Star Trek, which I guess doesn't say much given how many series there are now, but
1,500? 1,600?
Close. Yep,
yeah.
No, fair. I think the idea I keep coming back to is that show seems like it's made by somebody who, if he was at a con and got too many Star Trek questions, would just respond, "Listen, man, I'm just trying to make some good sci-fi, okay?
I'm just trying to make some good sci-fi."
Somebody that's not so invested or is over invested in reinventing Star Trek or however that goes. Oh, Matt's either lost a contact or has seen an alien overhead.
My contact folded or something, did something weird. It's fine.
Okay.
We're back.
Pop out of your just shoot out of your eyeball.
I have had that happen before. It's very weird.
Cool.
Anyway, sorry. So Discovery sucks.
Discovery season 3, yeah, it's kind of continuing. 2 eps into season 3, I was like, okay, I think this is already better than what I remembered, and it does honestly have a couple episodes that I think do what Star Trek does when it's at its best, is it takes that universe and it investigates those possibility spaces. It's giving you a race or a world, or however that goes, and it takes you to that world or tells you a little bit more about that race. Sometimes it's filling in the cracks where they've never said this character has a mom, so they or they've never commented one way or the other, so that. There's a Trill episode, which I never watched Deep Space Nine that much, and I'm not going to talk about it, but I actually am, I think, 14, 15 episodes into the first season of that. But Trill was the character, Jadzia Dax, I believe, with the dots on the side of her head. Deep Space Nine? No, nothing, not ringing a bell? Okay. They have another... Okay, they have a Trill character in Discovery now, and they go and visit the Trill homeworld, and some of that was super cool. Some good storytelling in there. They actually dare to revisit unification, which you haven't in no way gotten to, I would imagine.
No.
But it
sounds
at
very
some point later
fun.
So it's I just thought about myself explaining it, and it's only funny. But at some point down the road, Spock takes on the effort of reunifying the Romulans and the Vulcans, who actually came from the same descendants.
Sure.
That's why they look fairly similar. I don't know if that was something that got invented after the fact or what, but
probably. But why not? Let's go with it.
They dive back into that because also there's a Spock in Discovery, because technically Burnham, which is the main character played by, you know her name, and I always forget it.
Oh,
Jonathan Blade. Sorry, go ahead.
from
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Yeah. Now I can't remember her name because I haven't watched that for a long while. But yes, Sasha.
Sasha, yes. Sorry, interrupt. Jonathan Blade says, watch the Orville. I've been seeing those new trailers come on, which is bizarre because I thought Orville was like a satire, right? Which is gotta be. It's Seth MacFarlane.
Is it not? I don't know what it is. I've never watched it.
The trailer doesn't look like it. Like I don't see one joke, I don't think, in that entire new trailer.
Jonathan Blade, is what is the Orville? Tell us. Let us know.
Or recommend if you've seen the new season, which I can't remember if it's streaming now or going to be streaming, or if Peacock, I want to say it's Peacock, drops them all at once, or however that goes. So if I should start from the beginning, Orville, or
Orville other.
It's widely
Anyways,
yeah, I don't need to say too much more about Discovery Season 3, except this season might be a little better than last season.
Okay.
But by the end, it's a complete wash because they do the unforgivable sin of misusing, wasting Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, God. Don't do it, people.
She's just been so fantastic to watch, even in that character and what she has brought to the show, you decide.
I don't want
has kept me around in a lot of ways, but her whole backstory is that she's from a different universe, and that universe, it's the Terran universe. It is such absolute stupid garbage. Like you remember in middle school where you drew really cool knives for a while?
I do, yes.
Do
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What if you never grew up and somebody gave you like 5 episodes of Star Trek Discovery? It's just so stupid. It's that whole universe is so dumb.
I hate
it. And she
I hate everything you're saying.
In just the stupidest way, and it's supposed to be because it does the other thing I mostly hate when TV shows do is they'll sideline an entire 4 episodes to go into like a new universe. And
oh my God, sure.
I don't care about anybody here. Like anybody here at all except Michelle Yeoh, and basically it's just ruining her for me. So yeah, the Discovery, that's enough.
All right. Jonathan Blade says
he does, yes.
It's straight TNG. MacFarlane pitched it as a light parody. It quickly just became just TNG.
All right, that's kind of the feeling I got by that new trailer. I was wondering which makes sense because Star Trek even has Lower Decks, which I kind of wanted to watch too.
I definitely want to watch Lower Decks. 90s style hopefulness, unity, and clean, comfy tech aesthetic. I like it.
Sorry, yes.
What'd you say? Why do I want to watch Lower Decks?
No, I said because it has Manzukis in it. I already knew the answer.
Oh, no. It's actually because, funny enough, this is a great segue for me because the show I'm going to talk about now stars Jack Quaid. And actually, he doesn't really technically star in this, but he voices his character of Huey in The Boys Diabolical. It's an animated series that Amazon dropped in between seasons 2 and 3. 3 just started, so it's this really like hyper violent, sticking with some of the Garth, some of them are written by Garth Ennis. The story's based off of actual Boys comics and stuff.
So the Boys comics are a Garth Ennis thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
It makes sense when you think about it. But yeah, so this is it's a cartoon where they got everybody to come back and do the voices, and because it's animated, they go a little bit further with how like goofy it can be. But it maintains pretty much all of the style of the regular show while making it an animated version and working. Super fun. Really, really enjoyed it. The episodes are like 12 minutes long. They're like you're not getting full like half-hour shows here. This is just good, quick stories in the Boys world, and if you enjoy the Boys, you'll enjoy the cartoon. It's super freaking fun.
Huh.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry to interrupt. This
you would be sorry.
Also, how I play volleyball, so it really all works.
Yeah. Well, you interrupt me, I interrupt you.
Jonathan Blade's last remark was 90s style, hopefulness, unity, clean and comfy tech aesthetic.
I said that.
Orville. You did say that, but I'm saying it again because it reminded me of Discovery's whole thing about tech now is part and parcel with the inability to commit to anything of substance. You know, they've the biggest nerd thing on the internet was how they disconnected the nacelles. Like they're not actually connected by anything to the ship anymore. And the nacelles are those things that come up the side, the engines that actually propel the ship, you know,
Okay.
that blur out at the beginning of every Star Trek episode.
Sure.
No cough button. Sorry, excuse me. And Siri's searching the web for something.
Siri's always searching the web.
They disconnected those, and the internet was in an uproar, which I thought was funny. Yeah, I don't really get into it that much, but it is emblematic of how stupid the tech is in that show. It is not. It's so dumb. Like they've. Okay, I'll just share two things.
Oh God,
I'm sorry.
You were really harping on this show.
The fact that I forgot about him is killing me too. They have introduced personal transporters. So instead of like having to beam people up, they just hit their chest like it's the comm and they transport somewhere. But here's what drives me absolutely freaking nuts. They do it, they still walk away. So they'll be walking away and then they'll hit their automatic transporter and then continue walking and then stop at another spot. I'm like, why did you start walking?
That just seems dangerous.
It's
seems dangerous.
So
like
stupid.
You know,
if you're gonna do it, just zap. You're there.
But,
fine, okay.
I mean, you're in the middle of walking, and then you teleport. Like, what if, like, as you move, like your cells
they don't hit their chests even? It's just like they did the effect.
But they're wizards.
That's what I'm saying. They don't think. The people making the show don't think about any of that stuff at all. It's just what looks good, what looks flashy, and it looks flashy. I won't tell you if it looks good or not. The other thing, you won't believe this.
I can't.
All right?
I can't believe any of what you're telling me right now.
Second to last episode, they're in a fight with the bad guys, and we know at the very least that the ship has been retrofitted because they've traveled like however many thousands of years into the future, and the Federation is in shambles.
Okay.
So they're trying to rebuild the Federation in a way. There's only very few people left, like one admiral. And so the ship Discovery has been retrofitted. They're in a fight, and out of nowhere, the acting captain is like, okay, we still got the cloak, right, from the retrofit? And I'm like, what? They still have the cloak from, and sure, the treaty probably isn't in effect anymore because they're so far in the future. Okay. But it's a big deal to have a cloak in a Star Trek show, on a Star Trek ship. You don't just drop that out of nowhere. And that's, honestly, it does that with everything. The final episode of that season is one of the biggest messes on TV I've ever seen in my life. Okay,
That may have legitimately been the nerdiest goddamn thing you've ever, like, when you go back tomorrow or whatever, you have got to rewatch up to this point to just see, like, and I want you to understand the anger you felt right there is how Beth
told you
felt.
It was only going to be funny.
That's how Beth felt about Ambulance, but like worse.
No, don't invoke. No, that's not.
It's been invoked.
Not fair.
You just got Gyllenhaaled. Whoa!
I'm sorry. So I think I just did. I like reached under the net and hit the ball myself.
I like it.
Myself, and then dropped it because I was talking about Discovery again. So why don't you go again?
Okay, fine. Then I'll talk about the other best show in the world, Peacemaker.
Oh yeah, tell me about Peacemaker.
What?
Tell me a lot about Peacemaker.
Number one, there is nothing that hasn't been said about this show that's not true. Like everything you've heard is true. John Cena is a moron. He's great. He's funny. He's sad. He's like this is a situation where if people are born for a role, this is the one. He nails this character. Like I've talked about this before, but one of the things that comic book things try to do and sometimes fail at significantly, other times movies like Ambulance also fail at them. But it's pathos, right? Like when you have a character that's not necessarily a good guy, you need to get pathos from that character. You need to have something to connect to. And the way they do it in this show, the amount, like, there are so many topics that are brought up here, from racism to women's rights to abusive parenthood, and how that all creates a person, and how what that can do to a human being. And going through the show, like it's Robert Patrick plays his father, who's a grand wizard of the KKK. So the show kind of focuses on two different things. The Suicide Squad has gone their separate ways for the time being, and in the James Gunn did both the movie The Suicide Squad and the show Peacemaker. In the movie, the characters that are with Peacemaker, with the exception of the new guy, they were all involved with basically knocking Amanda Waller out, and so this is supposed to be a punishment for them. So Harcourt, who's played by James Gunn's wife, whose name I hate saying that phrase because I can't remember her name. I can't remember any of their names right now except for John Cena. Again, watch this when it was coming out, so it's been a little while.
Yeah, we've put this particular television volleyball off a few times. So
it has been. Let me find her name because it's gonna make me angry.
I'm IMDbing it.
Her name is not that.
Danielle Brooks.
No, Jennifer Holland. Jennifer Holland. Her character, Harcourt, fantastic.
She was in the Suicide Squad, wasn't she? I feel like
she was. She was, as I said previously, these are characters from that movie that are being punished. So I'm glad that we're having a conversation that usually involves one person listening to another. So that was great. Steve Agee as Economos, phenomenal. Chukwudi Iwuji, this dude, I did not know who the hell he was, but he came in and he plays a new character named Myrn. And what this show kind of goes around with is they're tasked with finding these things called butterflies. And for the first few episodes, you have no idea what they are. And eventually we find out that they're aliens that are kind of doing the body takeover thing where they like get into people's bodies and then they are them and they kind of have their memories and all that. So it's got the sci-fi aspect to that, while it's also doing you've got the what the hell is his name? Oh God, I hate that I have not watched this again. Judo Master. So Judo Master shows up and they get into a fight, and that's great. And yeah, and Vigilante is a freaking, like, that dude, Freddie Stroma, Vigilante is hilarious. He is just outrageously great, being a little off center, just not quite all there. And then I gotta give like the loudest shout out to Danielle Brooks, who her character Adebayo, she is new to the group, and we find out that she also is related to Amanda Waller. And so that becomes the whole thing, and it follows through where she's actually there as a plant to make sure and get all the information back to Waller, and it's a whole thing. And the show is outstanding. It's outrageously good. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's heartbreaking, it's all that stuff. And Eagly is in it. So John Cena gets to play with a big giant eagle. It's not real though, but it could have been. Wanted it to be.
Played by D. Bradley Baker.
D. Bradley Baker, who voices like so many things. Yeah, dude, but Peacemaker, and everybody knows at this point, the intro, we didn't skip it once. Every episode watch the full intro.
Oh,
it's
I'll have to check it out.
You have to, if you haven't seen the intro, you've got to watch the intro. Like, it's at the very least, it is a dance number with all of them, and it's amazing. The fact that you haven't seen it actually infuriates me. I am green with jealous rage.
Isn't doing their job. This takes place after the movie.
Yep.
Is that correct? And
yes.
In the movie, Peacemaker, kind of a bad guy?
Peacemaker, so yeah, he is kind of the bad guy, but he's also, it's a perspective thing. Is what doing the job that he's told to do, is that, does that make him the bad guy? He's just like everybody else. He's got a bomb in his neck. He can still be killed, but he is a bad guy. But he's mostly an anti-hero, really. He's not.
So it sounds like pretty close to the comics, actually, which I have more experience with, strangely enough, when I did some of the reading for Suicide Squad show we were going to do. So does the show, I would imagine it doesn't spend a whole lot of time making him or redeeming him, so to speak. Or if it does, it probably does that early on so you can watch the rest of the show. But how does it do with that?
It's amazing. It's great because he carries it with him. Like there is and I don't know when James Gunn came up with this idea, but when he is fighting Flag at the end of the movie, he finally gets the jump on Flag and kills him, and he didn't want to. Like it's kind of clear that he didn't necessarily want to kill Flag, but Flag was going to go against the mission, and Peacemaker is not about that. He's going to do the mission because he is told it's going to bring peace and it's going to fix things, and he will do anything. He'll kill children, he'll burn things, whatever, in the name of peace. Like that's his whole gimmick, right? So he takes it with him.
Great.
He takes it with him. So he kills Flag, and Flag says something like, "Peacemaker, what a joke," and that like rings into his head. And the show deals with it's kind of weird because you don't dislike him, but you're not necessarily a fan of him either, because he's an asswipe. He's a dickhead, but he's sometimes well-meaning when he isn't being pushed. So it deals with PTSD, and it deals with the whole idea of the mission, and that the mission is the most important thing, and all of that plays into how we come to grips with who he is, and then also see the parts where we're like, okay, he is a good guy. He's just not necessarily always on the right track. He sometimes needs a push, he's very flawed. And
sounds like it actually does a better job than the comics then.
It might. It might. I
haven't read everything with him in it. I've just read, and I'm normally reading Suicide Squad books, so it's not like it's dealing only with him. So, all right, cool.
Yeah. Set, spike.
So, speaking of also been a while, I know you watched at least some of Cuphead.
Yeah, I finished that. Show. I watched that.
You did finish it too? Okay.
I did.
I know they've renewed it for a second season. So
yeah.
I don't know that matters, because while there is an overarching story, it's not like, it's more in the video game. Obviously, they are in kind of a fight with the devil. They're trying to save their own souls, and that's, the devil is the last bad guy, which you and I beat together.
Yeah, finally, thank you.
The show does keep that in there. In fact, I want to say all of the episodes with the devil are pretty much my favorite. Like anytime they
totally
kind of deal with that actual story or that dynamic, I'm into it more than not.
Yeah.
And I am into the show overall more than not. But strangely enough, I don't think it was an immediate sell for me. Like I don't think I latched onto it super hard right away. Cuphead, the game, one of my favorite games of all time. Which is why that might be a little bit strange. And I'll tell you why.
Please, because I am very, very keen to hear.
You're shaking your head, though, like you had maybe some similar feelings.
I'm
okay.
Keen to hear your thoughts.
You're shaking your head again at me telling you were shaking your head about having similar. Okay, careful. So It's not because it doesn't look beautiful, because it
Looks
does look
gorgeous. Every
absolutely
episode,
gorgeous.
not one thing wrong with how that show looks. Even nothing.
It's not truly cell animated, but I trust they had that discussion. And I did watch some of the videos. I wanted to watch more before I talked about it, but I just don't have time. I think it's a question of those machines just not being around, and that workflow not being viable, and certainly not for the budget I think they were given from Netflix. All of the budgeting problems that Netflix has aside, it seems. But they tried to approximate that look, and for the most part, they did.
Yeah.
When they don't, they're actually, it's oh shoot, I did what I did look up. Okay. The reason I say that I'm sure that discussion was had is because I actually met the guys at PAX when Cuphead was first announced. It didn't come out for like years after, so we had the opportunity to see it at PAX. I want to say like 3 years in a row.
Yep.
So,
and we
since
at the Moldenhauers a couple times.
Yeah, and they hadn't made. Okay, they had probably made something before, but certainly nothing this high profile.
Yeah.
So they were fairly easily. They were working the booth themselves most of the time. So yeah, got to talk to them a couple times. They mentioned wanting to do merch for it, but only wanting to do it if it could be made like it used to be made. Like they weren't going to buy anything off the shelf. They were like, we want to make mugs like they were made back then and stuff like that. So a real dedication to the bit, if you want to call it that.
It's a craft, baby. It's a craft.
The craft, yeah. And a love. I mean, Cuphead itself is a love letter to all those Fleischer tunes and stuff like that. And
also
the show is no different. What they were able to do even though they couldn't do the cell animation, was something called stereoscopic animation. It was created by the Fleischers. They were able to get a machine, and they did have to adapt it a little bit. But it's that moment where you see like a real background, you know, almost claymation style, except it's not moving. It's not stop motion claymation. It's just a lot of times a spherical set that's been set up. And I think that's where the stereoscopic comes in, or the stereoscopic being that it has the, you know, and it's almost the Roger Rabbit effect, really.
My dog's
it's
going
like,
nuts.
I hear your dog's barely in the background.
Yeah.
Is that not too bad though? That's fine. I'm glad to still get them excited.
As long as you're okay with it. But yes, the Roger Rabbit thing, continue.
Yeah, it's a thing that's real with the cell animated characters in front. And they do it a couple times, and it's worked in seamlessly enough that you might not even notice it sometimes. I want to say there's a bit in the intro that you can pick out every single time if you want. But that stuff, all really fantastic. The animation also
looks good.
I don't have a real depth of knowledge when it comes to the Fleischer stuff. Like, I know about it more than I have seen it.
Sure, yeah, same.
And what I have seen more of is Ren and Stimpy, and
I've seen that.
Also very influenced by the Fleischers, so it's not a one-to-one necessarily here, but I got that vibe from time to time more than I got even the Fleischer vibe when it came to the animation. Why it wasn't a complete absolute sell is just because I don't think the writing is super strong.
It's not sharp
in the end.
It is not. It's yeah, no, I agree. I don't think I think there were a couple moments here and there of pretty sharp, witty
There's
stuff.
A couple good jokes. Yeah, witty. I laugh a few times, but
overall,
more often than not, I just kind of smile because I know what they're going for.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always quite land. In fact, by the end, I might just be wrong, because when I started watching this, I assumed, especially since the video game was so good and not for kids, I was like, the show is probably also not for kids. But by the end, like my literal last note after the final episode is, maybe it is for kids. You know,
it was that
level of writing almost. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not made for me, and I'm like, this isn't made for me, and somebody somewhere is like, it's not made for you.
No, and that's possible too. My other big thing was I just frankly along with the writing, I don't think the voices match the characters well. I think the voices were poorly chosen. I don't think they're
It took
good.
me a while to get used to them.
I didn't even at the end. I was like, I mean, I know that I recognize it. It's fine. It is what it is. But they just don't. It just doesn't match the face. Like it doesn't match. It's one of those things, where you see the big burly dude, and then he's like, "Hey guys," it's the Mike Tyson thing. Like you don't expect that voice to come out of him.
Yes, they both sound like Mike Tyson. I don't understand.
It's very weird, and they kept threatening to eat your ears and your children. I don't know.
Yeah, they both have. One of them has like a straight up Brooklyn accent, doesn't he, or something like that?
So, yeah, it's just and why are they
right,
so different? Like I don't understand that either. They don't sound related.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I would thought you were talking character wise because they very much Mugman is the straight man most of the time, even though that dynamic isn't set in stone. Like they do kind of sometimes they're best buds and sometimes they're at odds with each other.
Mugman.
Yeah, I it's actually another one of those things where I hear them and I'm like, I see what they were going for. Like I see where it makes sense, but you're right. In the end, I was like, it's not.
They're just it's not the right voice. I'm not. The actors might be great actors. They might be great for something else, and maybe they have a different voice for it. But this is very much so like watching the first season of The Simpsons, where when Homer opens his mouth and you're like, what the hell is that? All right, boy.
Wow, that's pretty good.
No.
I mean, it's been a while since I've seen season 1 of The Simpsons, but
it's
wow.
Yeah, it's just off-putting, man. It's just off-putting.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's all I got on Cuphead. I'm still probably going to tune in for season 2. I heard
I'll watch it.
But
I'll watch it.
I'm not as excited as maybe I was for season 1.
Yeah, no, agreed. All right.
If it was, because they're also, I want to say 12-minute episodes, and if they weren't, maybe 10-minute after the whole international credits thing. Do you get that sometimes?
I don't.
Okay, anyway.
I don't know.
If they weren't 10-minute shows, yeah, I would have had a bigger issue, I think, probably.
Oh yeah, no, the writing could not withstand 22 minutes.
It's weird though, because the most interesting episodes for me, and I don't think it's a case of fan service, are the ones where they pull from the game directly. Like there's one where they're at a casino. And the frogs are that run the casino.
Yeah.
Like that one I was way more invested in. Again, whenever the devil shows up.
But you know what it is?
I'm into this.
I think that's because like everything else that they're trying to do that's original isn't landing. Whereas that stuff it's a quantity, it's a known quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's okay. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay. I like it. We'll put it to the test when season 2 comes out. What else you got?
This will be quick. I'll do a quicken. The World According to Jeff Goldblum. This is a program on Disney Plus. It is a show where Jeff Goldblum does things that people do. He's Jeff Goldblum about all of it. Choose. It is such a delightfully weird show that only works because he absolutely knows who he is. Like he gets that he's a weird dude. Absolutely knows it. And this is like him
it
just
seem like he's leaning into it quite a bit the last 5 years or so.
This whole show is him like yes, absolutely. Oh, very good. Yes. And but it is just such a like it's not a train wreck because it's not bad, but it's that I just want to keep watching it because what the hell? Who pitched this to him?
What is the premise? Like I get
the premise is seriously it's him,
but do they like put him like does the producer put him in a situation and see what happens? Is it him literally doing what he wants to do? Oh, I want to go visit this today, or is
I don't know. Plot? I don't know if he got to choose the things or what the deal was. but it is stuff that he enjoys. And it's so, like, the first episode is sneakers. He's a sneakerhead. Who the hell knew?
Oh, okay.
Freaking loves sneakers.
Even better, though. Yeah, put Jeff Goldblum where he wants to be, telling you about stuff that he loves. I mean,
that's really what it is.
That's a good trick for
a
lot of stuff, actually.
The second episode is about ice cream. And it's him basically just eating ice cream for 30 minutes and going, it's cold and vanilla. Good. At one point, he's like, he does stuff with tattoos. Somebody gets, I think, his face tattooed on their body.
That sounds like a producer suggestion right there. I don't see a lot of Goldblum.
He does.
I don't see a lot of tattoos on Goldblum, I should say.
He doesn't have any.
I see lots of Goldblum on tattoos, but
he does one on gaming, and but it's him talking about things that he's interested in, and he gets put in weird situations with people that are just like, all right, Jeff Goldblum, let's do this. You're Jeff Goldblum. Why not? And it works. It works. It's super fun. Sit down and watch that with the fam. Like, it's ridiculous. They will.
Yeah, we actually did start when Disney Plus was brand new. I remember it was one of the first things that in fact, it's probably still on my list or however that goes, and because there wasn't also much at that time, but we never got back to it. So
I loved it. Super fun.
Okay, so this is probably a quick one then also.
Okay.
And since I've gone this long without talking about a really old TV show like I promised, I have always wanted to. In fact, this is how bad I've wanted to do this. There is a series from the 90s.
Sliders.
Sorry?
Sliders,
yes. Jerry O'Connell.
That's correct. And John Rhys-Davies.
Where they slide. No.
Yep.
Did you ever watch that, actually?
Every episode.
Really? Okay.
Loved it, man.
I remember it being on because it was on so long, so it was one of those things where I was like, it was like Babylon 5. I'm like, this is obviously doing well for somebody somewhere, but I never myself watched it anyway.
So we actually watched it recently too because it pops up on TV like when we're going to bed.
It holds up great.
It's not. It does not. It's bad. Like, it's real bad. Not good. Anyways.
Okay. Well, there's another show from the 90s that is very hard to find. I don't think it's
Dinosaurs
streaming anywhere. No.
Not the mama.
Actually, maybe.
Not the mama.
That's got to be on Peacock. If
Not
Dinosaurs
the mama.
isn't on Peacock, that's why it's failing. But no.
Not the mama.
To the point where, in fact, I knew it wasn't anywhere streaming because I could find episodes like on YouTube and I think Daily Motion. I don't know. Any video streaming site where you could upload whole episodes and they didn't take them down right away because somebody wasn't copyrighting them. So I went around to all those different sites and ripped them to create my own season. It lives on my Plex. I got a fair amount of episodes from doing that. And you just get more and more confused as I go. And I don't know if
I'm trying to figure out what show it is. Like Max Headroom?
I've always liked it for so many different reasons.
Could be Max Headroom.
I'll tell you why. Now, I like Behind the Music so much.
Oh, man, dude. Behind the Music. Amazing. I loved that shit. Awful, but I loved it.
It's so great. Like, whatever. If I ever thought it was cheesy, I'm back around. It is just...
Always loved it.
Every type of reel. What do you think the very, very first episode, season 1 of Behind the Music is?
Oh, man, I feel like I knew this at one point, and I probably have seen it, and I feel like it's like...
It's the 90s. We're talking about hot music acts.
I feel like it's like Milli Vanilli or something.
Milli Vanilli, man, you got it.
Boom!
Milli Vanilli.
Kid still has it.
By MC Hammer, of course, another great one. And what's strange is I remembered watching that episode. I'm like, by the end of this episode, somebody's going to tell you that the planets are aligning again, which is another one of the funny things about watching these old episodes is because oftentimes they're like, for acts that were 20 years old then, and now they're like, here's the comeback story, and here's what they're doing now. And now that's 30 years old. So it's
then you're like, okay, time to Wikipedia them for today.
Yep. No, we absolutely do.
You have to.
Meatloaf is dead. But it's also just like I said,
Dr. Frankenfurter got him finally.
It's just plain good, man. Like the writing is that the behind the laughter episode from The Simpsons.
Yeah, it's amazing. One of my favorite.
Why that episode is great is because there's barely jokes in there. Like that is how it's written. In fact, I'm trying to write down one from each episode that I watch. The meatloaf episode was especially good. I think the line I got from there was, "But meat did anything but loaf." They refer to him by meat. Not even the show, I believe that like people did refer to him by his first name, Meat, quite often.
I want you to know that I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but
no,
it's funny that you mentioned that because today I watched a video that I'd never seen before of a Paul F. Tompkins bit where he was filming The Best Week Ever, and they filmed that in the same building as one of those like I Love the 80s shows. And
sure.
and it was like it wasn't like a sound studio or anything, it was just an office building, so they had a really thin wall and they could hear each other. And at one point Weird Al was in there and being loud, and so they went next door, and Tompkins decided to play a gag, so he kicks in the door and he only refers to him as Weird. He never calls him Al. He just is like, I'm sitting here screaming at Weird Al, wondering, does he recognize I'm just calling him weird? And anyways, it's super funny. I like it.
It's so good. But Meat was doing anything but
loafing.
Around.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, there's also just plain awesome information, good stories, just fantastic people. The episode on the Bengals is second to none.
So good.
David Cassidy was even pretty fun. Harry Chapin, Stevie Nicks, John Mellencamp were in the middle of the Metallica episode.
Very
interesting.
Did the Go-Go's get one? I feel like
I'm sure they do.
Man.
Yeah. For all of my stealing around the internet, have a woefully incomplete, and like I said, still not streaming anywhere, I don't think. I know they tried to do a revival at some point. They've tried to do several revivals, actually. There's a Behind the Music 2. There's a Behind the Music Remastered, I think, where they just handpicked episodes and did like a little thing on the end about where they are now or however that goes. I've only begun my journey.
That's fair. Now, did you also enjoy Bands Reunited? I was a fan of that show.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
That was it. So another short-lived VH1 show, maybe like, I don't know, I can't even guess, maybe one full season, maybe two. It was all sorts of like 80s bands. They got Flock of Seagulls, trying to think, maybe Kajagoogoo, possibly. I think at one point maybe they tried to get the English Beat, but it's all like, so it is this one guy going around to all of the band members in a band that broke up or just hasn't been together forever, what have you. They're one-hit wonder, and tries to get them all to agree to come back to LA and do like a one-night show. They get like a week rehearsal or whatever, and they get a one-night show at some venue. And it was such a cool show. Like, sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes, they like,
I am into that.
Squeeze
a lot.
Squeeze was the one. It was so good. There was so much cool information about the two guys, because it really, like, in fact, the whole band, because one of the band members I think he still has a TV show in England. Like, he's been on TV for fucking 40 years or something. And he, like, they try to get him, and he and the drummer is like the drummer for his TV show. So it's a whole thing. Super cool, man. Bands Reunited. Totally check that out.
I knew it. I'll check it out. I forgot. I have one more line from an episode.
Hit it.
Guess the episode. The bass line boom, the white boy croon, and the young girls swoon.
Vanilla Ice.
Yep. Wow, you're good, man. Or this show is just that good.
Could be. Could be.
Decide.
I will. All right. I'm going to give you I've been wanting to talk about this for so long, and I just desperately wish you would watch this show.
Okay.
Yellowstone.
Oh, right, Yellowstone.
So
Talked about this last time, I want to say.
I don't think did I? I don't remember if I did. I'm looking at my thing here. I don't think it was on there.
There's no way to tell. I mean,
you keep me honest. If you've heard about it, then I won't talk about it. But
if you did, you've watched another 1 or 2 seasons since. So
I have. We're in the 3rd season now.
Oh, you know what it was? No, you talked about it at the end of a book club for movies. I think out of nowhere.
I may have
had to get it out.
So good, dude. So it's Kevin Costner led show about a ranch that essentially is not making any money. They don't have money, but they are, for all intents and purposes, he is the guy in this area of Montana, and they own this huge swath of land in right in Yellowstone, right off of Yellowstone. And so the first season deals with developers coming in and trying to build things on the land or right next to the land, and him doing his damnedest to not allow that to happen. There's intrigue and murder, and there's there's Native American conflict that comes into play here, and there's again that political intrigue stuff where people are having to play against each other and then trust each other, and it is I had no idea that this stupid soap opera would be so friggin' good, man. It's so good. Cole Hauser, maybe the best character he's ever played, and maybe the only character he's ever played where he's not a total dick. He's actually kind of the good guy, which is weird. The second season, first and second season, actually had Anthony Michael Hall and what is the dude with the blue, the stupidly blue eyes?
Neil McDonough.
That's it. And Neil McDonough's brothers that are also they also are
real
kind
life brothers.
No, they're brothers in the show. You weirdo.
Okay.
What? How would that? I don't.
You said Neil McDonough's brothers.
I said they were brothers. God, you drink water and you forget. I don't know. But yeah, but they showed up in it and they were great. The guy.
I see what you're saying.
Yes. Thank you. Good. I'm glad we're all on the same page now. But dude, yeah, Yellowstone, super freaking great, man. We're a couple of episodes into season 3, and I love this show. I love it, man. Taylor Sheridan is the dude's got a style for sure. He did From Hell or High Water and one or two other things, I think, but it's all very westerny stuff. It's definitely his gig. And
is that the showrunner or writer?
Yeah. He's the dude. And also Hell or High Water is super good, man. Ben Foster and Chris Pine, Jeff Bridges, Western style bank robbery, real good.
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
So like Ambulance.
But good.
You mean better?
Well, what I mean is no drone shots. Yellowstone, check that out. It's real good. Okay. Go. I dare you.
Wow. So boring.
How many more you got?
1, 2, 3-ish, 4-ish.
All right. Got about 3.
Okay, this can work. Hey, so there's this show on Netflix that is based on a British TV show, and the show on Netflix is called Murderville.
Yes.
Did you begin watching Murderville?
I did not.
Do you know about Murderville?
I do. I think Beth watched it.
So you might know that it is essentially an improv show where there is a stable of actors that kind of have a script or know what's going on. It's a police procedural. Will Arnett
with Will Arnett, right?
Detective.
Yeah.
Yes. And his captain, just so we don't go the entire night with routinely forgetting anybody that isn't the main character
Well, to be fair, they are the main character.
Hanifa Wood plays his chief, Leland Bowden. Philip Smithy, you'll recognize quite a few of these. But the main conceit is that each episode has a new guest star,
right,
that doesn't have any script, any idea what's going on. They're thrown into a murder mystery, and Will Arnett is kind of leading them through the place, and they'll talk to different witnesses and get different clues, and then by the end have to offer up who they think did it. It is a who has done it.
A who has done it. I saw a clip with Kumail Nanjiani.
Yep. Kumail Nanjiani's in there. Sharon Stone does an episode.
Oh, that's fun.
Murphy, Ken Jeong.
Wait, but
Conan O'Brien.
But how was the Sharon Stone episode? Is it good?
Sharon Stone episode is funny because Sharon Stone at this point in her career, arguably 20 years ago, has seen it all. So you put her in this situation where she has to improv, which she's already also good at, but also doesn't care. You know, like it's like, I want to say Arnett also was given the direction to try and forge like a possible relationship or something, you know, like a hint that there might be something between them. Again, the actors have no idea, so they're just having to play off some of this stuff and all that. Yeah, they're all good episodes. That's the thing. And I wanted to shout it out because I've seen some reviews of it that are like, it's not that funny, and I'm like, I could see that if I hadn't already been listening to, you know, like Paul F. Tompkins and Scott Aukerman and any of the current, in fact, go back to Who's Line for all that matter. Like, if you're not well versed in improv comedy, you know, if you don't know what you're looking for, then yeah, you might turn this on and be like, I don't really get it.
It's not clicking. Yeah.
Yes, 1,000,000%. I totally get it. But if you are prepared for it, it's great. Like, it's great for two reasons. Number one, because it's just watching those actors. Marshawn Lynch is one of them too.
Right. And I saw a clip with him in it too. Yeah.
He does a great job. It's like people that you wouldn't expect to, like Conan O'Brien, you expect he's going to make you laugh.
Yeah.
He has that figured out. He's not been in any dissimilar situation. But it's good in that way, but also it becomes this fun little editing puzzle, because you can tell there are some cuts and where the editing makes the timing of the joke.
Sure.
You know? And it's fun to see where they've figured that out and what they've done with it, because it does totally work. Yeah, they're watching Ken Jeong just spit and fart his way through the episode is still making me laugh to this day.
Dr. Ken Jeong.
Yes, Dr. Ken Jeong. It's good. I would recommend it. Go in knowing what to expect. You know, it's not a normal scripted murder show. You need to understand. And there's a thing up front that tells you the bit.
Yeah.
But still, if you're not like constantly being like, how did that even happen? Or, you know, cluing into what they're having to do on purpose or what they're having to play off each other with.
Yeah.
Or where that editing technique comes in, like, you might not get it as much, but
sure.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm into it.
Recommended.
Cool. Yeah. All right. I watched The Reacher. Finally, we finished Reacher, the first season of that on Amazon.
Is that what it's called? The Reacher?
No, it's called Reacher. I was gonna say The Reacher Show, and I don't know why it's just called Reacher. The Reacher.
Yeah, they can't add too many more words to that title without something going.
The Reacher. Look behind you. The Reacher.
The Reacher round here.
The Reacher from underneath. So we watched that show. I have never read any of the Reacher books. I had the most basic understanding because of the Tom Cruise movie, which I enjoyed that first movie just fine. It's fine. It's enjoyable. The second one.
I like that you haven't watched the second one yet.
Still haven't seen it. You told me not to, and I kind of don't want to now, especially after seeing the show, because the only thing I had ever heard about those movies when the first one especially was coming out, was people were just pissed because is nothing like Reacher. Like he doesn't look like him. He doesn't have the build. He doesn't have any of it.
He's not a house,
right? And man, the guy they got to play Reacher is a freaking house. The dude is humongous, man, and he's great. Like the character, the way he plays it, this whole show, the series deals with small town politics. His brother getting killed by in weird circumstances, and his brother was an FBI agent or a DEA agent or something, and so he ends up in this town and ends up having to try and work with the police, some of who are corrupt, and he's trying to figure out who they are. And super great, man. The guy is fun. The co-stars, everybody in the show, super fun. Action is good. Like the dude definitely has chops to be an action star. Like that guy, I want to see that dude get into it with Scott. What's his name?
Scott Adkins.
Scott Adkins. But also because apparently Scott Adkins disappointingly is like an anti-vaxxer.
I didn't hear. You said you cut out for a second there.
I'm sure I did. Anti-vaxxer Scott, that guy.
Oh, there you go again.
Adkins.
Cut out.
Yeah, weird. But Reacher, dude, that story was super cool. Really enjoyed it. I love the build to it. I love the open ending to it of this was book X in the series, and the next book they're doing is like the 11th in the series. So they're jumping around, but I'm excited for the series. I'm excited for season 2. Like super looking forward to it, man. That was and
so
Beth
you've completed season 1.
Yeah, and Beth really liked it too. She was super into it as well.
Is it an entire season, or are you?
No. It's okay. That story is done. Like it's a full. Okay. They did whatever book that was, and it's completed. You get a complete full story all the way through. Loved it.
That's cool. It doesn't need to be one entire run anything.
No.
If I could, I feel like I need to explain the Scott Adkins joke. Yeah, I saw the tweets where he gotten into it with somebody that was pro-vaccine, and he was like. In fact, I'll get into it for 2 different reasons. The joke was I didn't want to hear it because I like Scott Adkins.
Yeah, no, disappointing.
The other thing I'll say is when it comes to that argument that why get vaccinated if you can still get the disease is one of the most
stupid
bonkers arguments I've ever heard. Like that. Anyway,
that's a fundamental lack of understanding.
It's like. Okay, we don't need to go down the COVID rabbit hole, but there are many inconsistencies to people's beliefs sometimes that are aggravating.
Yes.
So
watch Reacher. It's on Amazon.
Watch Reacher. Get around to watching Reacher around.
I see Reach around. Handy dandy, isn't it?
I finally watched Resident Alien Season 1.
Oh, man. So much fun. I loved it. Actually, that's not true. I liked it.
So much fun.
I liked it a lot. But it started slow as hell.
It started slow to the point where I didn't know if I wanted to keep going, to be honest.
That's fair.
Tudyk is great. I mean, no surprise. So he could have saved, I guess, the entire show.
Might have.
I don't know what it was about everything else necessarily, because I don't have any issues with any of the actors. I think I'm going to do it again. The other not main character that's a girl. Ugh.
We are really bad at this.
Got to start writing them down.
But that would be preparing. And if we do this prepared, it's going to take all the fun out of it. Who's going to watch then?
Also, maybe it's my browser. Does not like IMDb lately. It just always pops up a thing that says, dough.
Oh.
Anyways, his co-star. Okay, I got it. Sarah Tomko is Asta. Great, fine, super good. Just something about the beginning of that show. I found it hard to get invested in all of the characters. Linda Hamilton shows up at one point, so again, you keep going just to see
the ham.
But then by the end, it pulls itself together in a few pretty interesting ways. There's a fun dynamic with the kid, because
I love that.
Alan Tudyk plays an alien who can disguise his appearance to everyone except certain people with genetic mutations or something like that. And one of them in this small little town is a kid that can see him, so he's like trying to tell everybody he's an alien. Nobody believes him, all this stuff. But they're at complete odds for a long time. In fact, he tries to kill the kid at one point.
It's so funny. And, when he breaks into his house in the middle of the night and creeps in through the window.
The show does not mince plot points. Like, he is a killer. Like, it is a comedy, but he very much isn't. Like, yes, they implant the heart. No, what is that? They inject the heart. Still doesn't sound right. They inject some heart into many of the situations. Tudyk is also fantastic at doing that. Again, he's a great human, and I mean that. Like,
yeah, but he also is very good at pretending to be an alien who does not know how to be human. Like, he does a really good job pretending, like, not knowing how to be human. It's very funny.
All of the laughs come from him, hands down, all of the time.
Which is true in most things.
Sure, yeah. But when there's a moment where they finally form a truce, and Tudyk is able to talk to the kid, because Tudyk, in finding his humanity, begins to express feelings of loneliness and stuff like that. So he hasn't had anybody to talk to about being an alien or whatever it is. Yeah. So in the moment where he finally forges a truce with that kid, and they're sitting at a table in the diner, and the kid, instead of being scared of him, starts asking him questions, like cool kid questions about being an alien.
Yeah.
And he's able to answer them in a way that he hasn't for quite a while. Like, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, that show has 2 or 3 of those moments that are pretty darn good. It's just overall, I found myself not so interested in a lot of the other stuff.
The moment to moment,
the very last episode.
The moment to moment of each episode can be a little, but again, I enjoyed it for the most part. I really loved early on in the season when he first gets drunk at the bar with everybody. And he's like, yes, I will keep drinking. And he just keeps drinking them because he doesn't know. And he just gets drunker and drunker.
Which is just Alan Tudyk. Like, yes, you get the feeling the writers many times were like, what can we make him do in this episode?
Yeah. And he was like, well, I guess.
Yeah. No, that stuff's good. Tudyk's great. I'm trying to think if overall I still recommend it. I don't know. I guess if you like the comic, or you're into that,
I never read it.
Understandable premise. Yeah, I never read it either. Then you probably won't be disappointed by the show. I went in interested in Tudyk, and somebody told me at one point that there's a few Law and Order jokes in there, which there are quite a bit. Law and Order jokes in there. So if you're into it for that, you may like it as much as me, I guess. And that is my second to last one.
All right. I'll give you a quick one, and then I'll have this is my second to last one. There's a show running on Shudder right now. It is a 30 to 45 minute show. It's a documentary show called Cursed. And it is... I did, yeah. I talked to you a little bit about it. So we finished the first season. And the show plays off of the concept of talking about movies that were cursed during their filmmaking. They talk about The Exorcist, and they talk to, when they do The Exorcist, they talk to Linda Blair, and they talk about, and Linda actually, there's parts of it that she won't talk about.
Right.
But they talk about all the stuff that went into, like, the weird things that happened on set, where, like, things broke when they shouldn't have, and so there were injuries that, like, because a stunt went kind of awry. Linda Blair had a few things happen to her that again she won't talk about. Super interesting stuff. They go into the Omen, and how the Omen was the Omen cursed, and what the things that kind of followed that. And the show is just really well done. It's good episodes. Every movie they talk about Even if you don't know the story, it's the most interesting. But
Sure.
when you start going into some of these other movies that you never heard about, why would this be cursed? Some of them land, some of them you're like, okay, I guess.
That
Like,
was a PA.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Obviously a PA.
Yeah, for real. But they get into the Twilight Zone, which I talked about very recently. They get into all of that. So super good show, man. It's on Shudder. It's called Cursed. It's going into its second season right now. They're a couple of episodes in. Super great.
Apocalypse Now, or are we talking like specifically spooky curse?
It's just horror movie curses. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's good.
That seems extra scary.
Well, I guess that's actually not true because they do talk about the Wizard of Oz.
The first horror movie.
Yes.
In color? Yeah, sure.
That's right. Yeah, they did do Wizard of Oz, and there are only 10 episodes.
I guess Return to Oz would have been the Oz horror movie I'm referring to. Actually, wouldn't it have been? Did you ever watch that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
That's a freaky. Yeah, that's a freaky one.
Peruza Balk, man, from The Craft.
Say again.
Peruza Balk from The Craft. He was a star of them.
Like you're invoking a demon of some sort.
Have you never seen the movie? Have you seen the movie The Craft?
Oh no.
Okay, number one,
you found the problem.
Now,
yeah,
yes,
sorry.
You need to see the movie The Craft. Not only because it's a good fucking movie, but also because I bet your daughter is right about the perfect age for it. It's right there. Ev Campbell, Fairuza Balk, what is Robin Tunney?
I know about it. Yeah, I know.
It's great, man. It's a great movie. But Fairuza Balk she was the star of Return to Oz.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Fairuza Balk.
Yeah.
Almost Famous. I always feel like is what I think about with Fairuza Balk. Okay.
Fair enough.
So
first film.
I'm trying to think. All right.
Uh-oh.
I'll do this one, and if there's room for this. I have one it's
Do it. Do it.
Now I have to do it.
You have to do it.
So we are in the middle of we've been in the middle of the final season of Supergirl for some time. I'm pretty sure it's the final season, season 6, right?
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah. And this comes, go back not too far. We talk about The Flash. We talk about Arrowverse. We talk about lots of shows in the Arrowverse.
We have.
And have enjoyed things in the Arrowverse. Or you
Certainly.
continue to enjoy things in the Arrowverse. I have fallen so hard off all of those shows. Like, I don't know what has happened. I don't have the patience for them anymore.
Legends is the only show I'm watching still.
And I'm scared to even
watch
it because
it.
From everything you say, it sounds like Legends made the right choice of caring even less, because there are moments where the Flash does something that I'm like, makes zero sense, though, for that reason. Like, I want to say there was a Christmas episode where Zoom wishes you Merry Christmas or something like that. I can't remember, but it was an intro to an episode, and it didn't have any story repercussions. It was just a fun little bumper on stuff. Like, Legends of Tomorrow sounds like what if that for 7 seasons or whatever it is.
Pretty much. It's way fun, dude. It's right. The most enjoyable show.
But when it's not, I'm telling you, I've just lost all patience for it. I'm completely fallen off Flash, not even trying. The reason I'm still trying with Supergirl is because my daughter enjoys it a little bit more, and it's the final season, I know, so there's like a light at the end of the tunnel. But Supergirl, for even being, I feel like one of the, and I know it has that history of starting out on CBS, I think it was, and then it got bought by CW or however that goes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't always Arrowverse, but for a show that at one point was one of the better done ones, it is all the way gone as far as I can tell in this final season. I mean, if you like watching that cast do some things, maybe if you're way into the Supergirl comics, I guess The Martian Manhunter they have is still a pretty darn good one.
I like that dude.
I really like that dude.
No.
Yeah, but it's not enough to carry me through that season. It is just. It seems like they're going through the motions just to work out the final season, honestly. So that's why I resisted talking about it, is because I don't really have anything good to say.
Fair enough. I will give you, here's something I can give you that's good to say, that I will recommend to you. Actually, both for you and for the kiddo, if she likes Supergirl. Tom King just finished
I saw that.
A book called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And the artist's name is Bilquis Everly, and her art is, that book is amazing. It's one of my favorite books of the year. Like I loved it. I loved that story. The art is phenomenal, and the story they tell, the direction they go with it, totally unique, something that you would not think of, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful, fantastic.
That's cool. That's rad.
And they just it just came into paper,
announced...
by the way, trade papers.
Oh, rad.
So
cool. Did Tom King announce a TV project too or something? I thought.
Oh, he might have. I don't know. He's had a few announcements, but I haven't been following.
I mean, that wasn't even me just trying to keep it in the TV realm. That's me
trying
to keep it in the Tom King realm, if anything.
Tom King, great writer. Love him.
Okay. Do you want to do yours? I do have one more. That's...
I can do it.
I don't remember how many more you have, so I'm just trying to even.
I just have the one more. So no, you
sure, go for
it. Yeah. So we coming into this so late. But
behind the music.
Behind the music. Actually, have you ever heard of this show called Bands Reunited? Let me tell you. So part of the reason I held this off to the end, because I'm so tickled that we finally found the show and we're watching it, and it is utterly ridiculous.
No way I guess it.
Oh, you will never guess it ever. Well, you might actually. So, admittedly, a huge part of why we started watching the show was because about 6-8 months ago, I guess, there was an episode of Comedy Bang Bang with Edie Patterson, who plays Bean Dip.
Mm-hmm.
And
Peanut Parton.
No, this is a while back.
Oh.
This is
okay.
Like 6 months ago. Like it was like the last.
Did she also do Peanut Parton? No.
No. That was somebody else.
You're right.
But she was on she was on like Comedy Bang Bang or something, and it was right after I had realized she was also in Knives Out. And I was like, oh my God, she was in Knives Out. That's so weird. Like, I love her. She's so funny. She is so hilarious. And then I found out that she was on this show called The Righteous Gemstones. You heard of this?
Yeah, on Comedy Bang Bang, yeah, several times.
Yeah, so it's very funny. It is crude, ridiculous. John Goodman, Adam.
John Goodman's in it?
John Goodman, Adam Devine, and I can't believe I'm blanking on his stupid name. Danny McBride, along with Edie Patterson, play the Gemstone family they are essentially a megachurch family. And the whole show is them, like, they are stupid rich, and Adam Devine's an idiot, and I mean, they're all kind of stupid, and they all have their own things going on. Edie Patterson is not, like, she's supposed to be a good Christian woman, but she's also seeing and sleeping with Tim Baltz on the side, so Tim Baltz is in the show too.
Baltz. Wow, that does have quite a few comedy bangers in there.
It's real good, and then the a few episodes in, when I'm already gaga for the show. This is so funny. It's so, like, it's got some biting commentary in there. But then they decided, we're missing something. We need another character to play off of. So we're going to go ahead and get the best character actor, like, that we can get. And we're going to put him in a pure white wig and give him like the biggest, whitest veneers. So he's just a big smiley guy. And we're gonna name him Baby Billy, and it's gonna be played by Walton Goggins. And you have got to look up.
Wow, you have put bigger teeth on Walton Goggins.
You have got to look at like, and he wears like the Jim Jones glasses, like the giant tinted sunglasses. Holy hell, does that character just sing throughout the show? Oh, funny. Goodman is actually playing the as the patriarch of the family. He's actually playing kind of the straight man in the show. He's the only one that kind of has his stuff together. You know, Danny McBride plays Danny McBride, but the good Lord Christian, the Christian version, except he's definitely not the Christian version. But dude, they nail this, the look, the idea behind the characters, like they feel fleshed. They feel like real people, which is not good because they feel like yeah, no, that's exactly what I think that person would be like. And it's so funny, dude. It's a freaking crack up. And Edie Patterson, like, her entire character arc is the forgotten sister that is also the only woman because mom is gone. So she's the only gemstone left that's a woman. And so it's very like, she totally is the one that, like, when one of the brothers gets in trouble, she's like, yeah, you just shut up, idiot. And, like, totally that. And they're like, look, Dad, look what I did. And she's so funny. And and again, part of the thing that makes this show work is it's that Goodman is playing the straight man for the show. So he's trying to be like, he is the upstanding father, the upstanding pastor, preacher, whatever. And the rest of the family drops F-bombs left and right. And they're always, sorry, Daddy. But it is one of those times when the amount of swearing is just so funny because of the situation they're in. And the first season's overarching story has to do with a blackmailer getting a hold of Danny McBride with a video of him doing coke and drinking with all of his friends who also happen to be like people in the at the church. So they're like, we don't want this to get out. So it's him working against that and dealing with that. And then his son coming back from California because they had a fractured relationship. And the whole show, it's a show about a broken family that's trying to be not. And it's funny as hell. It's so good.
And the son that had no choice but to keep them all together. No, there's a few seasons of it out now, right?
Yeah, I think they're going. I think the third is coming out.
Okay.
Or is out now.
Yeah, I hear enough of the actors talk about it on their guest spots on Comedy Bang Bang, and then I feel like I've heard about it in enough other avenues, but I didn't know about Walton Goggins.
Well, I did not either. I had no idea until he showed up on screen, and I lost it, dude. If you looked at the picture, like when he comes on screen and you hear him talking, and he's got that southern drawl of his, and he's got them big old the white hair, and he's calling himself Baby Billy, and he's talking to his wife who has about the mental capacity of about a 10-year-old. Boy, it's good stuff. Yeah, it's funny as hell. It's funny as hell.
That was Lisa Gilroy as Peanut Parton, by the way. Sorry. My apologies to Edie
Patterson.
That's
it, man.
Okay.
That's my TV. That's all I got. I gotta wipe my slate clean.
Well, you've seen this last one, so you might be able to help more than usual, because you also recommended it to me to watch, and you often do.
Yep.
And
it's Scrubs, and yeah, no, it's a perfect show.
Yeah, that worked out great. Right. What am I afraid of?
When have I ever been wrong? Outside of Morbius and Ambulance. I apologize again for both of those things.
But when it comes to TV shows, doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm batting 1,000, which is good.
But other funny thing is I also get the feeling that by the time I pick up your recommendations, you have fallen off of them. And I feel like this is one of them because I haven't heard you mention it since. So I don't know how many seasons you went into this, even though it's been over now. But I'll tell you why I finally gave up and just watched it. I've been watching those Scott Adkins Art of Action videos. I think I'm all caught up. They haven't been doing any for a few now. But there is one with Louis Tan, who was, I can't even remember his character's name from the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Cole?
He was also in Wu Assassins. Cole? Yeah, I think you're right. Might be Cole, huh? He was in some of the later seasons of Into the Badlands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That show, I finished the first season. We never went past that because Beth didn't get into it.
So I don't necessarily blame her. And honestly, all of the trailers I saw of it didn't. It looked like action TV movie, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is.
I don't know if the trailers weren't selling it great, but something Louis Tan said in his episode was that the action unit was Unit 1 on that show. This might also explain some of the storytelling, but normally it's storytelling, normal whatever is Unit 1 for any TV or movie, and then Unit 2 is kind of like, okay, let's shoot the action sequences, let's do this. This is also often why times the action sequences in a movie won't be as good as a Hong Kong movie or something like that. It'll be good enough to get by. For some reason, Dune comes to mind, even though I believe that's unfair and the action wasn't horrible in that movie. But when I heard him say that first unit was the martial arts unit in the show, I was like, okay, I'll check it out. So, did you like the action in Dune that much? He's giving me the you're dead.
Everything about Dune is perfect.
Okay.
Except for the couple things that I pointed out already.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of Boba Fett, that was kind of... There was a really weird part at the end, and that I hate in every single movie and TV show. It's when they shoot a big robot or a robot with shields, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Literally nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. And they keep shooting it for 20 more minutes. I'm like, nothing's happening.
Just move on.
With anything else. Yeah, try. I know you're working towards something, but even if you're working towards something, don't shoot it while you're working towards something. It's not happening.
All you're doing is telling it where you are. I mean,
exactly. I'm like,
that's it.
Stop shooting it. And there was a moment in Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, where they started to. I mean, also there's spice in Boba Fett. There's spice runners.
I know. Yeah.
In Boba Fett.
Yeah. Well, there are the spice mines of Kessel.
Sure, I guess they did it still second, but it was funny because then when it came to the shields, they actually started to talk about how their energy weapons weren't getting through because they were traveling too quick. And one of the things I loved about Dune was that bit where, because also I've heard and since read that is how real energy shields would work. They are meant to slow down fast moving projectiles and not something that you can slowly move into. So I thought they were getting near that in Boba Fett to being like, no, we got to do something like different or slow, or they were coming up with a knife or some of their melee weapons. They didn't. I think they eventually did something like that, but I don't know. It was such a jumble, even though that final episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez. Anyway,
it felt like a Robert Rodriguez episode, and I like that.
Yeah, no, that part of it was great. So I went into the Badlands.
Yeah.
Badlands, not Bandlands.
I went to Bandland. Welcome to PAX.
Knowing that the action was going to be the thing, and came out of the first season knowing that the action was the thing.
Yeah.
The story is still pretty.
It's serviceable.
Kind of seems like an oversell.
It's serviceable.
It is serviceable. I'll tell you what I like even more than the story. The action, yes, it is.
Good.
Like if you're looking for some action, that is it. Like that is. I was going to say the place to go now, but it's done. It's not being filmed anymore. So that is a great TV action. Like we talked about.
Cool sword fights. Cool sword fights. Cool gun kata.
Great weapon work. But yeah, we talked about Wu Assassins not too long ago. This is better than that, like story and action, actually, I would say, which kind of still hurts me to say, but
I like being better than everything.
The other thing I love about it is that show is gorgeous. Like, I don't know who they have doing the color grading. It is so beautiful. The shots are so, like, there's a little bit of the camera that won't stop moving for no particular reason. You know, everybody's got a slider nowadays, but not too much. It's still okay. And the colors kind of just are so dang good. I don't know how else to put it. Like, that is such
super
a
vibrant,
beautiful show.
very lush.
Vibrant.
Yeah.
Yes. It's really cool. Let's see.
Which actually, and I'll mention this
that
too.
might be all.
The thing with the color makes the costumes pop too, because there are some pretty cool costumes, I think, throughout the show. They're not, I mean, they're nothing crazy, but I like
they aren't. They're on a budget still.
But I like where they went with it. I like the simplicity in the costume, like his red getup, the jacket, everything cool.
Well, it goes with the whole milieu is that they're trying to evoke post-apocalyptic, but kind of rebirth. Like, they're already a little ways along. Like, there's fiefdoms set up.
Right.
I want to say there's barons is what they're referred to. And there's warring between each of the barons. They all have their pieces, and there's some of that going on. In fact, that's probably the main push of the story.
Yeah.
That Sunny, who is the main clipper, like the armies and captains are called clippers for the barons. So Sunny, who is this clipper, he's our protagonist, is very, very good. But he's come upon a kid that whenever he is cut, whenever he bleeds, his eyes gloss over and he becomes like unstoppable. Like he goes nuts and he can kill anybody that's in his way. So that is super interesting. Like, what they're trying to do with his training and teaching him to control that. And by the end of the first season, some monks show up that do the same thing and have it all under control. So you're like, oh, this is kind of known. And the barons kind of know about it too. One of the warring barons, which is a woman, is looking for this kid. So there's a lot of that going on. The one place where I feel it's lacking is that there's not really any mythology surrounding the martial arts. Like, there's no, even when it comes to the training sequences, there's no, like, this was passed down from this, or this is even this type of move. Like, they don't get into the philosophy of martial arts, or
they
don't get into it much. Like, there's very little of that. It takes place in, like, I forget, there's something that, we see the capital at one point. So we know this is our world later on. So it's not like there, I would think, wouldn't be some record or some, at least some opportunity to have something like that passed down, or some history to it. Especially when it shows, the kid shows up, and when he glosses over, he's an excellent martial artist. Like, it's got to be in there somewhere. I can still do it with season 2, so I'm kind of hoping. But that was the one thing I was kind of missing from the show overall in the first season. But yeah, I'll keep going. You'll hear me talk about it. Season 2.
Yeah, maybe I'll try and pick up season 2. I'm sure I can catch up. Yeah, mentally.
I've started the first episode of it. It's I want to say 6 months later type deal. So they do a little bit of a time hop.
Cool.
But yeah, good enough to keep going. And the action is second to none. It's
very good action for sure.
On every way. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm glad you dug. Cool. I'm glad you dug that out. That was, I think, maybe the main aspect that I thought you'd be for the show. I mean,
and you were correct. You're right. So you can salvage your recommendation here. Perfectly fine. Yes. I don't know if that means you won. I think it's got to figure into it.
You just said
if I bring a show to the table that you've recommended to me, it's like
that's double.
Shot myself in the foot.
That's double points.
Myself.
Yeah, your own gold. Double points. Own goal, double points.
Double trouble.
Double trouble. Hey. We did it again for 2 hours. Great, good on us.
Unless you count the 15 minutes up front where we just fumbled around.
Fumbled in around. It's how I do all the time. Come back for another time. We'll be here in another Thursday. You could catch us at bookclubformovies.com. podcast@bookclubformovies.com. You can reach us, send us an email, send us suggestions. Join the book club today on Patreon, patreon.com/bookclubformovie. And
what do we have on the horizon here? I know we're going to be doing some episodes of Pull List.
Yeah, we got some Pull List.
Comic book centered podcast. Moon Knight will probably be if I had to guess, most recent subject.
Yep, it'll be Moon Knight followed by Miss Marvel. I'm going to be diving deep into that pretty soon.
Yeah, that show just started actually.
Oh my god, that first episode, I was everything about that first episode that was a perfect, literally I'm saying that was a perfect episode of television. Like
cool.
the when you watch it, dude, the animation that they choose for everything, it's great. The way they portray texting in the show is phenomenally cool.
Wow, and that's a big question for a show with a teen in it, but also a show that
it's great.
In 2022.
It's super great. I loved it. Yeah.
We're doing The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent for our mainline show next week.
That's right.
So come back for that. The Ambulance show is already in the can. That should actually come out sometime after this, but possibly still this week.
Cool.
So
we've
stuff's
got
coming up.
Yeah, we've got the we'll have a full episode on Severance in the upcoming weeks too.
Also on the list. How are you doing? What episode are you on?
We've got one more to go.
I don't even know how you pace it out so much. I think I got to episode 3 and I couldn't stop.
Yeah, no, it's
all on the same
night
or something.
Every time we watch an episode, we're like, why are we not watching? And then it's, oh yeah, we want to.
Well, I guess we'll find out why.
We will.
There you go.
Yeah, so we got stuff on the horizon. Check out the Patreon for I did an essay up there about Evil Dead just recently. Pretty proud of that, and got some.
And if you're wondering how we edit some of these shows, look at the post before that.
Yeah, got all sorts of stuff. It's happening. Hit us up, Patreon, $2. We just want your $2. I mean, if you want to give us more,
your $2.
Where is your $2?
Patreon.com/bookclubformovies. And thank you to anybody that tuned in. We know Candy Miller, Jonathan Blade.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We'll see you next time as well.
We will. And with that, I say bye.